Okay, I'm ready. I've got an Erev Shabbos. The Torah tells a very interesting thing here, that the Rebbeinu Shalom gave kahuna to Pinchas. The reason that he had to give kahuna to Pinchas, that he was able to give kahuna to Pinchas, let's put it that way, or that he had to give kahuna, first let's do that he had to, because Pinchas was not a Kohen, even though he's an Einikal of Aharon, but since he was born before Elazar became a Kohen, so therefore there was no Yerusha that he became a Kohen because of his father. So he had to be appointed, and only the ones that were appointed was Aaron Ubanov, and not Bnei Banov. So therefore, Pinchas was not a Kohen. Okay. And now the Rebbeinu Shalom made him into a Kohen. I'm going to show you in a minute that l'chayra all the Kohanim now are from Pinchas. So why don't they make a bracha shekichanu b'kedusha shel Pinchas? Why b'kedusha shel Aharon? So I think that the reason for that is if Pinchas would not have come from Aharon, he would not have gotten the kahuna. He would have gotten something else. But since he came from Aharon, so he has that same kedusha in him, that same midas that gave him the ability to be kodesh. That was oyev shalom, v'oidev shalom, and stuff like that. So therefore, the bracha is still b'kedusha shel Aharon. Talk about it. The child is first. Why did he deserve it? To say because it's the time of mitzvah of kanoim poigim boy. Schwer to say that everybody would be mekayim a mitzvah kanoim poigim boy zeicher to gehuna is not true. I don't know if it's true or not true. I don't know if anyone else that did it. But I'm assuming that there must have been in time somebody was kanoim poigim boy of some sort. So maybe you'll say the only one is zeicher is this one. Okay, I don't know, but it doesn't sound like the right stuff. So the reason is Parshas because of a revolution. If it was only because of a mitzvah or something like that, not. But the Bensham here Turkey says my anger. In other words, he took over my anger. What was my anger? Why was I angry? Because they're starting up with Moshe Rabbeinu. They're starting up with my person that I appointed. That's an emphasis that we find that in all the times that the Rebbeinu Shalom threatened, except by the Egel maybe. But the other times really it was all against Moshe Rabbeinu. But the Meraglim was against Moshe Rabbeinu, but Vakerach for sure was against Moshe Rabbeinu. The two of them, and that's when the Rebbeinu Shalom wanted to destroy Klal Yisrael. And over here also, this was basically his revolution, Keneged Moshe Rabbeinu. What he called, and the people were quiet. Maybe there was a tiny here. For him to set up the whole Maisa with Cosby, also should have aroused anger from the people. Where she said, my father said I should go to a Melech or Sheni boy, and he answered, Ani Sheni lebeten and Hu Shlishi lebeten. What kind of answer was that? The fact that he couldn't near the Malchus. That was his revolution. Couldn't hem the Malchus. Like Adoniyo. In other words, I'm the one, I'm number two. Reuven turned it down, or Reuven was kicked out, so it comes to number two. It doesn't go to number three. So therefore, I should be the Melech. So on that, the Rebbeinu Shalom gave him the kahuna. Now, why do I say before? That probably all the Kohanim are from him. I don't know for sure, but if you look there are no people that agree that how many children did Elazar have? From Divrei Hayomim and from Chumash, we only know of one son, Pinchas. Then the Parshas didn't have any other children. A riot to this that didn't have any other children is that the Gehuni Gedolah went from Pinchas, from Elazar to Isoma. If he had another child, it should have gone to whoever Elazar's son was. Couldn't go to Pinchas, because Pinchas was not from his Yerusha. He was born before. But if he would have had another brother, and that was born, let's say, after, then it would have gone to that brother, and what do you call it? And then he would have been the Kohen Gadol, because that's how he goes. He goes after Yerusha. Once it became part of Isoma's mishpacha, it continued until the Rebbeinu Shem took it away. Took it away by Avyasa. But to be told to Avyasa, he left it by Bnei Isoma. So the Kohen, the Gedolim of Klal Yisrael, from Isoma becoming after Elazar, until David HaMelech, now with all the derech of the Sheftim, was from Bnei Isoma. Until Shaul HaMelech killed out Nevi HaKahanim, which was all from Isoma. So he killed them all out. Now, you'll say, so he killed out one city. Who says that was the only city of Isoma's children? I don't know if there was more or not. But we found those were killed. We found Bnei Eli, which had the children from Bnei Eli in the time of the Amoraim, Rabba and Abaya, Bnei Eli, and he had then the mishpacha of Mishpachas Yechanan, because they were given an eitzah to learn Torah. They all died at 18, so on. So we don't have any more Kehanim or Mishpachas of Kehanim that died at 18. Then we would know, then they would die at 40. But we don't know of any so much Mishpachas like that. They don't exist anymore. So they all died out. So so whatever it is, see, some is Mishpachas, I said, from the Eli, and the ones that Nevi Kahanim, whatever it is, there's no money left from them. Understand? I said the only was of Yosef was left, and then he got those Chematz, his son, but Lamaise, if there would be another one, there'd be a different Kohen Gadol. I mean, there didn't have to be his Kohen Gadol to Kohen Gadol, but it would have been a nephew of it or whatever it would have been, would also been good enough. And that was the Yerisha, whatever the Yerisha is. So Pashtas, he didn't have any more kids, and they were all died out this summer. So then the only Kohanim come from Pinchas. And therefore it's very important that Pinchas become, and the truth is, you see, but in Yecheskel, he was the Kohen Gadol in the time of David HaMelech, who he made Tzaddik. He says they've been a Tzaddik HaKohen. They doesn't even go back to Daniel or Aaron or Loz or anyone else. They've been a Tzaddik. So why be a Tzaddik? Because that was the final taking it away from Yisoma's Mishpacha, whatever it is there, put it back to Elazar, which is to Pinchas, and there was nobody left, and that was Bnei Tzaddik. So it's Bnei Tzaddik. It's like Noach, Bnei Noach. Why we're Bnei Odom? But we don't call it Bnei Odom, we call Bnei Noach, because it started again from Bnei Noach. So therefore by Tzaddik, it started by Tzaddik again. So again it's a raya that seems to be that all from the same Mishpacha, all from Pinchas. Okay. Now it says, who they are. Then he gives the Rebbeinu says, kill out the Midyanim. Right? You can say the same thing about the Moyavim. So he says the reason is because he had Yat Rus. And even according to Medrash, that would say that she's a Midyani really, because Balak was from Midyan. So then, and therefore she's a Midyani, and that's the only Midyanim that are left. The ones that came out from the Malchus of what he calls, could be. I mean, but it would still be that he didn't wipe her out because Balak was still living over there, and if they'd killed Balak, then they wouldn't be a Rus. I don't care if she comes from Midyan, she comes from what do you call it, from Moav. Well, she was living in Moav, so therefore there was no reason of I had to save the Moavim because I can't kill Bullock. So therefore, I have to leave Bullock in order for Shalos to be bought. But Midian, I don't care about, so they wiped out Midian. Okay, so good, fine. Whatever happened to their land? I don't know. We wiped out what he called Sichon and Oig. So Oig was that land was Mitchila, was supposed to be Eretz Yisrael. That was the Eretz Refoim that the Benshim gave him Lech Lecha. That Rashi says in Parshas Devarim that is that was the land that was promised. But what about Sichon's land? They took Sichon's land because it was good for pasture, but it's a good piece of land. Why didn't they take Midian's land? What happened to Midian's land? They left it Hefker. No nation there, no nothing. Why didn't we take it? I don't know. Why we live Dafki in Moav's land and not in Midian's land? One right next to the other, so why wouldn't I live there? In two different towns. So I can't answer that. Anyway, the Benshim wanted to count Klal Yisrael again. Klal Yisrael lost about a quarter of Klal Yisrael, according to Rashi's Cheshbon. And they wanted to count them. Okay. And he started to count them, and he started with obviously Reuven. And it's a very funny story. It's this time, instead of just having the numbers of the Shevet, like it was in Parshas Bamidbar, here it really counts it tells you who the mishpachas are, and it also gives you what he called total, sometimes a little story about it. So here you have, and there's an interesting thing where the numbers come in. Reuven, it tells you who they are, the mishpacha. Eila mishpachas Reuven, vayibekudeim 34,000 she'ameis v'shloshim, gives me the number. Over them, Bnei Palui Eliyav, and he goes in to tell me the story about Dosan Aviron. That's the next psukim. Okay. You have similarly, well, let's see, Bnei Yehuda, right? Erva Einon, Vayamas Erva Einon, Be'eretz Canaan, Vayu Bnei Yehuda Mishpaisam L'Shev Mishpachas, he counts all who the Mishpachas, Eila Mishpaisam Yehuda L'Tkudeihem, and he counts the number after that, Shish V'Shim Melech. So how come here he tells us the story first and then the number, and here he tells us the number first and then the story? So I want to tie in that we find that a lot of times the Torah mentions Eivainan. Eivainan are Rishayim, whatever you call them. Rishayim. I mean, the L'chayri, the Avdela, they did, compared to our Averis, we were Rishayim to them. I mean, Rishayim. Okay. But they died because of their riches. Right? At the point of time, Torah is telling us that the numbers end over here. The story I'm telling you is about people who didn't make it to be part of Klal Yisrael. And that's Dosan V'Aviram. Dosan V'Aviram were cut off completely. What do you call? If they would have been alive, they'd also be cut off. We don't want them. They're gone. They're out of Klal Yisrael. On the other hand, Eivainan, we left them in Klal Yisrael. And therefore we tell them before the numbers. Now to understand Dosan V'Aviram, there's a big thing there, who Dosan V'Aviram, again, Kriye Ho'eda, spelled Kriye. And if you remember that in Parshas Bamidbar, they spelled Kriye, and we read Kriye, and this end, and I forget who said it over there again, and the what do you call it, the Tur, Balaturim said, that's because there were Shayim among them. So they took away the Vav and put in the Yud. Now it's Kriye Ho'eda with a Vav is a more chosh of a title than Kriye. And here we are spelling it Kriye and we're reading it Kriye. So like we're taking away from them a title that they should have had. Why should they say it to such a big title? It's Kriye Ho'eda. So mashma from here that they were talking, people who were in a way tzaddikim. They weren't Rishoyim, meaning that they from the what he called Sheitri B'nai Yisrael, that they actually got beat up for the Yidden. They were the ones that stood up for the Yidden. They got beat up, and their complaints were always for Tevas Klal Yisrael. In other words, Moshe Rabbeinu came, and all you did was make it bad for us. Moshe Rabbeinu took us out of Mitzrayim, but there's no food for anybody. Moshe Rabbeinu, there's no water. Moshe Rabbeinu this, Moshe Rabbeinu that. In other words, they were always picking on. They didn't think Moshe Rabbeinu was a good leader. And to think of that, and therefore they had kindness on Moshe Rabbeinu. So this Moshe Rabbeinu, they finally got a place where they saw that the Korach is fighting with him, and Korach is a chosh v'yid. They joined the fight. And that Rashi brings down the Rosh's Korach, and the Rosh, they're the Shchenim. They got tied up because they were Shchenim of Korach. But they became a major factor in the fight. That was they were not Pasha to mention. And for that, whatever it is, they should have had that big title. They could have had that big title, and it was taken away from them because they were Machlekes and whatever you call. And and it puts in here a little point of Nekerach Loy Mesu. And the thing there now, how they came out later, where they got married, when they had kids, I have no idea, because they thought they were a little place in Gehenna over there. They're staying there when they get out. So I can't answer the question of how we have so much Tilim from Bnei Korach. And the biggest of the Deiros is Shmuel, of course. They came out that Parshas and Shmuel mixes Taki into Moshe Rabbeinu, into that type of godless. It's not a point to go. We want to bring a Maisa of godless or rights to Malchus. So what do you Yiftach b'Deirei? Kishmu b'Deirei. Now then, Yiftach b'Deirei, Moshe b'Deirei. Now with the Iker, do you want to show about a Melech? I'm showing you a Melech, the Shefer that there. So I want you to give you an idea of the two, between the two of them. So he was picked as the thing there. Is also the Gemara Chamurei Olam, Moshe, Aaron, and Shmuel. That's the Gemara calls him Chamurei Olam. So Shmuel, the godless of Shmuel, I don't think we can understand, and I don't think we can know. It's not Negeyach, but the idea is that we're not talking about that if we're going about Nevi'im, the Chayr Shmuel would seem to be ranked up there as number 2 or number 3 or whatever it is there, but somewhere up over there. And so I'm saying, so to understand the Korach, to understand it, that they call him a tzaddik in this, that's a different problem about Korach himself. Then he gets to Bnei Shimon. By Bnei Shimon, it's a very funny thing. Over here, all of the Shvatim have a thing, Pikudehem, Lifkudehem, Bifkudehem. It has a word, we count them. The word Pikudehem, we count them. Here, Bnei Shimon, it says over here, Eila Mishpres Shemaini, Shnayim Vesem Elef V'Masoyim, doesn't say the word Pikudehem, no Pikudehem. So I want to tell you that this is good with what it says in Parshas Bamidbar by them. The only one that has a word Pikudov is Shimon. Okay, it says there, Vaisa Pikudov means by Shemais. Shimon has the word Pikudov. So why does he have the word Pikudov to his counting? To tell you that the Shvatim and Klal Yisrael are made up of the necessity of each Shevet's tafkid to be sufficient for the nation. So Shimon's tafkid is Lambi Tenoikis and Seforim. No, they got to do we can't exist without Shimon. That is plain English. We need Shimon. Now, how many people do you need in Shimon to supply Klal Yisrael? So the first time they're the third largest Shevet. You have 59,000. You have like that. So so many that you have, that's what you need. Now you only have 22,000. And for Klal Yisrael is only 2,000 short of the number we had before. So that's not enough to be able to cover for Klal Yisrael. So there it says, so therefore over there can't use the word Pikudei. You don't have the right number. You don't have the number. You have a number. Yes, I can give you the number, but I can't say that is the number. So I don't say that's a number. Now, from that's a difference. So the Rashiva wants to explain to me a difference between a guy who's a tafkid of doing the job, is his job, or the mokim shemish ish ishtadli ish. There are people that are called natural teachers. Natural teacher. I am not a natural teacher, that I can tell you right now. My wife, though, was a natural teacher. I'll give you a moshel. When my shvel was nifter, he had a Talmud Torah. And we figured we got to finish the year for the kids. Somebody's got to teach them. So, no shvel, so I became the teacher, right? They were all over me. Much higher. I mean, they couldn't control. And if they had to be scared, I can beat them up a lot better than my wife can beat them up. Right? Okay, so my wife came in, took one look at them and said, sit down. And the guy sat down, not a peep out of anybody, and no one. That's a natural teacher. When Yom Kamenetsky told me about my shver had 88 kids in his first grade class until he became the second Rebbe in the first grade, and he brought out 40 kids for him. But he remembered 48. 88 kids in the first grade. I would say, so how do you do that? That's called a natural teacher. Mokim she'enish, though, is that you can't teach, but we need teachers. What are you going to do? You can't teach, but you got to become a teacher. So you got to matazach and become a teacher. And they jump over your head until they get less and less, hopefully, they get less and less, and everything there, and then they'll call you a teacher also. Okay. And it goes through all the numbers. Okay. Now, Bnei Yosef. Bnei Yosef u'mishpachoso Menashe ve'Efraim. I remember learning all the way back in Parshas Vayechi, Vayosem Shaf Efraim Fnei Menashe. Chois Bnei Yisrael. And what do you call it? Yisimcha Lekim Ke'Efraim v'Chemenashe. So how come also Menashe is first? And the first counting also says, and now Ephraim. This is called, what do you call it? Which Machne? Machne Bnei Ephraim, right? The Bnei Yosef, the Bnei Ephraim, told Yosef Mishpachoso. Same thing there. This is not only here, it's going to be by the Nesiim also. So you see from here that Ephraim Menashe, it's not always Ephraim over Menashe. Sometimes Menashe is the wish. It's a question, depends what Ephraim does. Ephraim produces, and Ephraim will be. Ephraim doesn't do it, Menashe will be. Could be Menashe is more steady. That's a one stein that could be. That's the bracha of the Ephraim Menashe, because you don't give a bracha, you should be like number one, like number two. It doesn't make sense. But if I say you can be like number one, like Ephraim in Kishrin, and like number two, like Menashe, more balanced. So even if you fall, you don't fall to your Benavot, you only fall a little bit. To Yehu, from Yeshua to Yehu would be a very good drop. I mean, that's our level. Between these and this, there's a place actually in the world that the temperature between 60 and 80 degrees. Like, that's perfect. Like, you know, it doesn't go colder than 60, not hotter than 80, and Meladik. I think that's called it Paradise Island. Yeah. Okay, so you see though that Efraim is not always before Menashe. In just the case of Nekdishan. They have a bigger Kishron possibly, whatever you do. There's also, you see, in the actual, the ones that reached the Malchus, they didn't win, that was the biggest of the Bnei Menashe. In Zman HaSheftim was Gidon, and he was a small one, was even called from Kali Olam. He was also an Eved Aved Zor originally, but he's the only Shofet that Gans Klal Yisrael was masking to make the king forever and ever. Not David, not Yehuda, Menashe, Yisachar. I mean, Gidon. And that's what it says in Tanakh. Okay? So whatever Pshat is, they were ever beloved. The same thing goes in the Malchus Yisrael. They had 5 kings, but Mishpachas Yehu, and they wiped out Achav and everybody else, and Baruch Hashem, they did tremendous mention the Jason Nisim among them, but for Yerav Masheni, and actually that they actually brought back the country the way it was. This man when they were Regel, when they went up the first time in the Mitzrayim, and the thing there, so there was a tremendous godless that they had Menashe. So you can't knock down when you say, it's not like you make a flame Menashe. I mean, the guy who doesn't have necessarily the kishrenis of, but when they put their capers to it and nobody else does it, they will reach the godless stuck, and it's necessary. For Klal Yisrael, it's not only the pshat is, you haven't got anybody better, so we take them. That they take you reach it. It's not anything. Okay, these are, I think, the basic Sachen that we need here. Okay. Totally, again, I think I mentioned this, that Naphtali, always Naphtali is last, after Osher. And then there's why is Naphtali last? It says, Don Naphtali God Osher. Right? So if the Mishpacha is the Machna is called Don, so it should be Don Naphtali Osher. Where's God? God belongs to Reuven Shimon God. So it should be like Osher last. Why is it that? The only time we have Osher last is in Zeis HaBaracha. And the reason for it is, I think, that wherever Klal Yisrael is as a unit, then the reason that that Osher was born is because of Naphtali. When she saw Don being born, you don't find that Leah did anything. He didn't give Zilpah to Yaakov yet. But when she saw Naphtali, we worked it out with the pregnancy, but she saw she was pregnant with Naphtali, she gave over then Zilpah to have God and Osher. So therefore, the cause of Osher's birth is really Naphtali. So, and there's societies that believe this, but obviously we have to take this very seriously. In China, in some way, I don't know if it's the actual Chinese or no, it's a sect of Chinese, that the doctor, once you save somebody's life, you're responsible for that person. Because if you're not here, he wouldn't be here anymore. And if he wouldn't be here anymore, he couldn't do all the averos he's doing. Couldn't do all the murders he's doing. So if he's doing all those things and you saved his life, you're responsible for those things. Right? Maybe you'll even get the good things he does. They're good. Or that I think is double poshut, If you teach somebody, so if you keep him alive, it's like for sure that he's able to do all those mitzvahs and stuff that you get schar for him. So I get in, I'm responsible for him. So you're also, Naphtali is responsible for Osher. God is way before, so he doesn't count. On the other hand, when the Shvatim, they come through Golus, and that's what Moshe Rabbeinu was talking about. He's talking about for us during the Golus years, everything. In those years, each state stands by itself. And therefore, Asher stands by itself. And then if it's going Asher stands by itself, then it's number last. That's the last one. Then came along the Levium. It's really, right? The Levium didn't count them with the rest of Klal Yisrael because they didn't die. The Benshon didn't want them to die in the Chet HaMeraglim, so he didn't count them in the Torah. Only the ones that were counted between 20 and 60, they died. The ones that were not counted with Klal Yisrael they were counted by themselves. So they counted them again by themselves. They come out with 23,000. No, something's fishy here. The first counting also, it seems to be 23,000. Right? So what, they never became bigger? What's the lotion over here? Let's see what it says over there. Where is the one by the Bechayim? Yeah, Umayla Shnayim ve'esrim elef, that's the funny thing. That's for the Bikud. The Bikud Mashapog Moshe V'Aaron Pi Hashem. Look, Machayish Umayla Shnayim ve'esrim elef, 22,000. Again, here's 23,000. Okay, yeah, it's 1,000 more. Okay, but the 22,000 didn't die either. So you had 55,000 now. But they're over 60, so over 50. They're not over 60, over 50. So therefore, over 50, you didn't count them already, so there's not negaya. That's why they're different. Okay. There was, though, God did the last 15,000 of Klal Yisrael. So there were the ones that when 20 then, so they were forgiven, but they're over 60 now. It's 39, but he's 59. That's how Pasha did, maybe 60. In other words, if you say like they were reached over 60, so again, they weren't ones that were counted in the things over there. Or they were under 20 at that time, or over 60, so they weren't counted the first time, so they weren't counted the second time either. So therefore, when you say they're not, none that were counted the first time, were only Yeshua and Kalev that were not counted the second time. But you had the 15,000. The last 15,000, it's usually not 15,000, I guess it depends on the birthday. But if you divide 600-something thousand over 40 years, so it comes out to 15,000 a year, that will die because all of them are going to die in the midbar. In other words, but it's not really the same 15,000. Like one year could be 15,873 were born, that was only 14,000 days, but whatever it was, whatever the number was. But they use a number of 15,000 because that's what was divided visible. That's one of the reasons the Chamish Hosav is the Chabeg Yontif, is the thing there because they stopped dying, Klal Yisrael. The last number that was supposed to die, they went to sleep on Tisha B'Av. They dug their graves and then went into their graves and lay there until, and if you get up in the morning, you're alive. If you don't get up in the morning, you're dead, obviously. So that's what happened. That's how you know what it is, and they just bury him. But it should be a tichs. Everybody dug their own grave. And on the 10th of Av, everybody got up. And so they figured maybe we made a good toyas. It wasn't the 9th of Av. So they went and buried him again. They did it again. Got up again on the 11th. They did it until the 15th. And they saw the moon was a malay, so then they know that Meshach was meichel. So they made that day a Yontif. Chamishos. And many good things are done on Chamishos B'Av, that happen on Chamishos B'Av. And the thing dort there. The Beita, and the Yom Tov Yisrael Chamishos B'Av, the Shidduchim, all the things there, the Chamishos B'Av remain the Yom in Klal Yisrael. And we don't even say Tachna in Chamishos B'Av for that reason. I mean, like, you know, so short, so near to Tisha B'Av, we got a holiday. How do you like that? Baruch Hashem. Chamishos B'Av starts learning. You're supposed to start learning Chamishos B'Av. The days start to get bigger. Depends really on the year, but they start to get bigger because they start to get bigger, so you have more time to learn. So you should learn more. And it's not on Chamishos B'Av. And our cheshbon of the camp, I always find it was wrong, but I know they didn't change it. I don't know why. I think we have the regular 3 till 4:45 until Chamishos B'Av.
Used to be like that.
Right?
Used to be like that. It used to be like that.
Used to be like that, not like that anymore.
Now the new camp comes and they change.
Oh, because of those guys, okay, but it used to be like that. And then it came Chamishos B'Av, they made it till 7 o'clock. So you lost the 1.5 hours more of learning. Supposed to add 1 to learning, you lost 1.5 hours of learning. 1.25 hours, 1.75 hours. Okay, anyway. Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay, you have also a very interesting thing in this is you have it both places. You have it by Menashe. It tells you what Usmido Mishpachas Milodi v'Chefer Mishpachas Chefri. Utzlofchad ben Chefer lo yoylei bonim kim bonis. He had no sons. V'Shem b'nei Slofchad. All of a sudden they mention Shem b'nei Slofchad. Who cares about Shem b'nei Slofchad? Over here by the counting of the men. Vayu pikudeihem whatever Shleim Chamishim Aleph. What do they got to do with it? It's right from here. The Torah is still engaged on them that they would have been counted, and I think even better they would have been even mishpachas by themselves. That's how big they were. And in a way, you have the same thing by Shem Basosher Sorach. What are you mentioning her name for? He's not negated to mishpachas, he's not negated to be counted, anything there, but she's that choshev that she should be counted. So these are the things. And Meslofchot, a few times, the Torah counts the names over and over again. I think 3 times or 5 times, and whatever it is then. Like, what was so important about knowing their names is either chshivas to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, like you find, that why did he keep counting the Yidden? In the beginning, Rashi says, because of the chshivas of the Yidden, he keeps saying it over and over again. He wanted Aboy Mitzrayim, Reuven, Shimon, Levi, what did he come and mention his names? So we know just Aboy Mitzrayim, we know who they were. No, they want to count their names. I want to say they're choshev to me, their names. And their names are choshev to me. Who were they? That I don't know. But they definitely listened to Klal. So this is something that the Nemesis belongs in the end of Maseh, but it fits in here also. What was their Greisach Shivus? Okay, they were big people. There's no question about it. But I think they're a little bit about Gaivanik, if you want to hold it there. Why were they still single? They were all single. They all came out more than 130 years old. So the Nisan that happened, the Gemara says, that happened to Bnei Slofchad was bigger than the Nisan that happened to Yocheved. So why would he say to such a Nes? I mean, the answer they don't have really. But to understand maybe what the Rebbeinu wants from us, maybe we can appreciate it. They didn't get married because nobody was good enough for them. And definitely their cousins and stuff like that, they surely they knew from the times they were kids that I'm going to marry him. Are you kidding? You know, I'm such a big lady. Came along, the Bensham said to them, you can marry anybody you want. I recommend you marry, I give you an eitzah to marry your cousins. What did they do? They went and married their cousins. So Rosh Yeshiva is the Grace Kasha over there. He said, you know, the Benishim seems to have stolen from them an Eina Mitzvah, a mitzvah of Eina Mitzvah V'Oiseh. Why not then like this? That the Rav Tesis says, why is Eina Mitzvah V'Oiseh does not get as much schar as a Mitzvah V'Oiseh? Because Mitzvah V'Oiseh has the Yetzer Hara. In other words, you tell me to do something, I don't want to do it. Right? So, it's the Yetzer Hara. If I don't have anything, no one tells me not to do it. So what Yetzer Hara do I have? So, an Eina Mitzvah V'Oiseh, nobody cares if you do it or not. So if you do it, what's the big deal? Right? So therefore the schar is less. But it's still schar. You did a mitzvah. You did a mitzvah v'oiseh, but you did a mitzvah. Women come to hear shofar. Women come to sit in the sukkah. Women, right, they sit on there. Rashi's daughters put on film. I mean, you have, there's an Indian of doing a mitzvah v'oiseh. You want to do a mitzvah v'oiseh. So the Chayriya took it away from them. He said, and Eitz at that time, he spoke about it. This was, I'll probably repeat them because it was a year of, one of the years of the recession. I don't remember what year it was exactly, but it was in the, probably somewhere in the early 70s, 71, 72. It was a year of recession. And in that year, all the people borrowed money because the market was going wild at the time. You want to know what wild is? It was 900, Rabbi say. You know what the market is now? Okay, so from 900 to now is a joke, right? But it was 900, and that was considered the market. And people were borrowing every penny they can get and put it into the market, and the market crashed. And they all lost their money. And the Shiva said that time that if you have to listen to Chazal says shlish b'karkish, shlish pragmati, shlish tachas yodai, that's what you do with business. And you don't just put everything into one package and say everything, because that goes and go, everything goes. And the truth is, they try to learn from us to have the portfolio between bonds and stocks. You do this and this, and all they shouldn't lose both. Okay, good. Okay, that's the idea. You don't listen to an eitzah, but it's only an eitzah. I gave you an eitzah, right? So the guy says, you gave me an eitzah, but it's only an eitzah. Who has to follow an eitzah, right? So the same thing's over here. You tell her, let's say she wanted to marry someone from a different shevet, one of the Bnei Slafchot. Now tell them, but the Bensham gave you an eitzah not to marry from the Denti. They made to marry a cousin. Hey, it's only an eitzah. And on that they went and listened. So that's a Gresser, not to than even name to voice. Like the biggest Yetzer Hara ever than a mitzvah voice. You have the biggest Yetzer Hara you have is not to listen. You know, to do what you want. And the thing, and I went and I listened. It's only an eitzah, and I still listen. That's the godless of the Bnei Slafchot. The Slafchot married people they thought were not choshev enough for them. And they think that why? Because the Benishim said, I'm telling you to marry them. And they listen. That's the difference. We got to listen. The thing is not the Benishim wants so much the geniuses of this thing. You want someone to listen. That's what he wants to do. That's what he wanted. Okay. Anyway, Okay, then all of a sudden, Moshe Rabbeinu starts to worry about his kids. He's seeing they're talking about Yerusha. Maybe I can sneak in my conversation with my kids also. And the Rebbe tells him, no, ain't going to happen. Yog is going to go to Yeshua. And you see Moshe Rabbeinu's selflessness, if you want to call it that. You told me it's going to Yeshua, then I'm giving it to Yeshua, not I have to give it to him. I told you, put one hand on him, you put both hands on him. Meaning, you want it to be successful. You want it to have atzlocha for Klal Yisrael's sake. That's what the Beishim gave. That's the difference. Okay. But what I want really from Klal Yisrael, from what did Moshe really want, Moshe Rabbeinu really want from them? I wanted that they should give someone that cares about Klal Yisrael. That's the leader we need. Someone that's Nehem, whatever. That's the one. And you shouldn't kick him out if he's in the middle of the job, like you did to me. The original job to me was take him to Eretz Yisrael. And you kick it and you're stopping the job, and I got near there. But you're not going to finish the job. So you shouldn't do that to other leaders. I think that could be a reason for the Haftarah of Parshas Pinchas, even though it's very rare that we read it, because it's only read when Matas and Masa are separate. Okay, but the Maisa is, it's talking about Eliyahu Hanavi after the Maisa of Har Carmel. Izebel said she's going to kill him. So he ran. And he ran to the Midbar, whatever it is, and the Ben Shalom came to him, B'chaloim, he went to sleep, the Malach came to him, gave him food, and he told him that he heard the noises, he heard Eish, and he heard noise, and the Madaka, what's the lawyer? Anyway, the very first Rebbeinu asked him, so what are you doing over here? Okay, and he said, I'm running away. I was a kanoi for Kodesh Baruch Hu, and I can't take it anymore, God. I want out. I can't keep living this way, that I'm always running for my life. Okay. So the Rebbeinu tells him, brought him a bunch of the Ruach. After the Ruach, there was a noise. After the noise, there was a fire, right? After the fire, it was called the Mamadaka. Voice. And he tell you it's not in the wind, the Torah. It's not going to be in the Klal Yisrael or everything. It's not going to be in the noise. It's not going to be in the fire. It's not going to be in the big things. It's going called the Mamadaka, the learning of Torah. That's what it's going to be. So I'm telling you that Grace Yeshua's in this thing not necessarily going to see, but we hold on with the little things. And he gives him a chance to back out. And again, he wakes up the next morning, and he says to him, what are you doing here, Eliyahu? And he tells him, I'm running away from my life, and I can't take it anymore. So the Beisham accepted his resignation. Moshe Rabbeinu, he did it. The Beisham told him, you're not going. Moshe Rabbeinu asked him, don't do this to any other leader. Right? So the Beisham did not. Which leader did he do it to? To the leader that wanted to be resigned. You want to go? Okay, I don't have to stop you to go. So therefore, you want to go to Eliyahu? Put Elisha in charge. But you should know there's a price difference between Elisha and Eliyahu. Eliyahu whatever it means that he was in Harav was his own dream, but he was effective. He turned around all the people that were said Hashem who were like him, right? He made all these Avodah say those words. So obviously you had a tremendous effect. But Elisha, we don't know what effect he can have. And Elisha, therefore, what's going to happen is there's going to be 7,000 Jews left. That's all that's going to be left. Everybody else is going to be killed or die out. And that's what for Malchus Yisrael, at that particular time, between Elisha and Eliyahu, was only 7,000 Jews left. From the Oivdei of Edizorah that existed. What did he say? That was all. That was because of you, Eliyahu, they were going to lose it. If you were a leader, I could leave them around. Because they already have Edizorah. You can handle Edizorah. Elisha can't handle Edizorah. By him, you got to be from. You can't handle him. Can't handle him, I got to kill him. I have no choice. And he told him the price. No, it doesn't change his mind, or maybe he couldn't change his mind already at that time. I think because very sure to say he wouldn't have changed his mind. If he was able to, he definitely would have changed his mind. Now, it says a very funny thing. Rashi touches up like this. Right after Moshe Rabbeinu asked him, Yifkar Hashem Yeruchos, somebody in Al-Tzibur, it says, Vaydaber Shema Moshe Leim Yatzavis Bnei Yisrael. It says, why are you telling me about how I should treat my kids? Tell my kids how to treat me. So therefore he told them the whole parsha of the Musafim. So the parsha of the Musafim, what is this parsha? Basically it goes like this. They're all oilers. The Korban Oila is brought, we'll talk about the Chattas, there's one Chattas, but all the other Korbanos are oilers. So the oilers are brought to show that Hashem is the one that supplies us the Parnasah. So that's the Yochid. Klal Yisrael is mechuyev to thank Hashem for this every single day, and in two different ways. One is as an oila, meaning a behemoth. The pshat is that that things that are only beyond Hashem I control. But you think what he called that you also have to bring a mincha, which is to say that even the things that I think I control, like my keach, my avodah, the yural malachas of a pas, the digging, the plowing, all of this is my albert. It's my sweat and blood. So you can not want to take credit for sweat and blood. So for that also you don't take credit for. And you also have to have an Isach Hayayin, which is to be a pleasure to where you are working, that we should love the Torah, the wine. It's a what do you call it? Taste. You have to train yourself a bit for it. It's not a malaga we can all drink, yes. And what do you call it? But all the other wines, you got to really train yourself. I don't want to be trained. That's a different story. But you have to train yourself to appreciate it. And seemingly, when you appreciate it, it's good. The table's the same way. You have to really appreciate it in the same way. You have to learn how to appreciate the Torah. And that's why the yayin, the nisach hayayin. And that's, for a single person, was first mesuken after the meraglim, but for the tzibur, it was always there. So the shaila is, why the musafim? So that's a korban tamid. And I also have to know that I went out to work in the morning, whether I was successful or not successful. I come back at night, I have to see immaculate clean HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Everything is from you, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And the thing that both the good, the bad, everything is from you. And Mele, there's a different relationship between you and the Rebbeinu Shalom. What's the Musaf in Shabbos? Shabbos is Parnasah, the Rebbeinu throws in for nothing. I give it to you for nothing. You don't work for Shabbos. That's the thing, though, that Shabbos is. No other korbanos that you bring in the oil, it's just those two. And those two are what we said, that's for that. That's for Parnose, because the sheep come from Yaakov Avinu, that's Moshe Darshan, that the three types of korbanos, you bought the Purim, the Elim, and the Kvosim, that the Kvosim are before Yaakov Avinu. And that's simple Parnose, simple work in life. The simple was that's what Yaakov Avinu did. It comes though to Rosh Chodesh, all of a sudden you need Purim, Neiboka Shnayim, you have two Poker. Right? Again, Moshe Darshan says, for what reason? Keneged Avram Avinu. What was Avram Avinu? Avram Avinu was Chesed, what are these called? There's two. It says, Manashach. Either you take the literally, there was only one. If you take the Medrash, there were three. What do you have two? So the Rosh Hashiva gives his pshat. I think the simple thing is, give it the Moshe Avram Avinu was known for Chesed. There are two Yesodis in Chesed. One is that the Oraman gets the food. The second thing is how he gets the food. I made it special for you. That's the point, because otherwise they have a big kasha on Avram Avinu. Avram Avinu is the Ava Chesed, right? And here come three guys to him. They're supposedly hungry, right? You want something to eat? Yeah. Okay, wait a minute. Wife, go bake some new food. Bake some new food? What long is it going to take me? A half hour, an hour, 2 hours, 5 hours, 10 hours. What difference does it make? Where's the food? Right? Especially Aboka, what's Avram? How many hours are going to be for that? For that, he gave them food right away. Gave them milk, gave them cream, and ice cream. Gave them good, very nice. Now you're not hungry anymore, you're not thirsty anymore. Now we're going to have a meal. Okay? We're going to have boko. We have other things that we're going to have. That's the... but what's the mile of it? What's the chesed? Let's stuck it. No, it's chesed. I made it for you. If a guy came to your house and let's say he's stuck in these and wherever it is in Staten Island for Shabbos, and you give him kol hain le'alma, right? So what is he going to say afterwards? They eat good in that house, you know. Why they eat good? Because they didn't make it for me. They made it for themselves. It happens to be I was nene from it, but they made it for themselves. But sometimes you make it for me. Your guest comes to the house, so you make him something special. You got to have something there. What can we have for him? Okay, that's made for me. They don't know what to do for me. That's what I'm doing for these guys. You guys want, I'll get you right. We'll cut you, we'll make you whatever you want, and whatever it is. I'm getting naked cows, we'll make you this, we'll make you that. The same thing there. Now you feel good. That's chesed. So chesed is how you get it. So there's 2 points in chesed. One is giving the actual thing, and one is how we got it. So he feels good about it. The other two. What he called there. Then what he also has ayal echad. That's for the what he called. We're giving the akedas yitzchok's akeda, meaning the mesilas nefesh, or the avas Hashem, whatever it is. In kvasim b'nei shana shiva t'mimim. The 7 ways of making parnasa, whatever it is there. Okay. And that's what he does on what he called. And the Rebbein Shem was a chassid, if you do and live like a Jew, I'm going to give you a chatos that you should try to keep out of trouble. But if you don't, meaning you fail, but you're trying, so then I forgive you. And that's Tumas Migdosh G'G'G'G'G'G'G'G'G'G'G'G'G'G'G'G'G'G'G'G'G'G'G'G'G'G'G'G'G'G'You're going to trying to go higher, you're going to have shaykhs with the Migdosh and the Kedusha. So you're going to goof because you're trying to go higher. Sometimes you couldn't watch for yourself from the Tumah so easy. But I'll forgive you if you keep trying to be doing that. So if we have all the karbonis of all the chatoyas of Rosh Hashanah, of the Yom Tevim and Rosh Chodesh are all for Tumas Migdash Kedoshev. You see? Okay. Then there'll be Pesach. Pesach seems to do the same thing as what do you call it, right? Okay. It's also the only yontif that has 2 days yontif. What I mean 2 days yontif, we all have 2 days yontif, right? No, I don't mean that. That's the Rabbana that get 2 days yontif. I'm talking about the rice of 2 days yontif. That the first day and the 7th day. You say Sukkot has the first day and the 8th day? No. Shmini Atzeres is Chag L'fnei Atzmai. So it's only sure Sukkot has only 1 day yontif. Everything else in 6 days Chalamed. And what do you call it? And then Shmini Atzeres has only 1 day yontif. And that's the way it is there. And the time is because it represents Kriyas Yamsuf, and we got to figure out what Kriyas Yamsuf has done for Klal Yisrael as much as Yetzias Mitzrayim. In other words, by Minu B'Hashem of Moshe Avdoi was not by Yetzias Mitzrayim, it was by Kriyas Yamsuf. In other words, there was a different type of what they saw over there. Besides the fact that they saw more than Yechezkel and Buzi saw, the thing Dalton did. So they could also be Dalton. And again, the same thing for the thing, and the same thing has the Shavuos, and the thing they're good. Then comes Rosh Hashanah, and all of a sudden you have a change. And this is for Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, and Shmini Atzeres. One. So why one? It should be, we said 2. We just gave it for the Chesed and stuck here 2 different Yom. No. Yom HaDin, that's what they are. The 3 of them have to do with Din. Do with the Rebbeinu Shalom count only 1 point. Did the only get what he wanted or not? He got it. What difference does it make how I did it? I did it a bum way. I didn't do it the right way. Leave that out. Just take the fact that he got what he needed. So don't take the chesed into consideration. They've only the stuck into consideration. So that's the Rebbeinu Shalom. That's what we're asking the Rebbeinu Shalom on the Yom HaDin. Okay. Okay, and this goes on, what do they call it? The only other time that we have different is Chamisha also. Is Sukkot, which we have the Parim have to do with the Umis. Now we go connected the Umas, which is again everything. And they have all of a sudden 2 Eilim and 14 Kvosim. Why 2 Eilim, 14 Kvosim? The 2 Eilim are for the 2 types of Akedas, by the Akedah. There's the Akedas Yitzchak and the Akedas Avram. Akedas Yitzchak was Mesiras Nefesh, and what he called, we're talking about the Avas Hashem. Those are very wonderful things. When we come among Goyim, we're mechuyev to keep our own beliefs very strong. And in order to keep them very strong, we have to look back to our Avis and the thing there, and what our Avis did. And what our Avis did was that they listened to Hashem to the point where they were able, the Beisham commanded them to, they would even deny what their whole mahus. In other words, what did I treat you for? What did I train you for? Train you to serve me, right? And now I'm telling you, I want you to make an Akedah of Yitzchak. What's the Akedah of Yitzchak? Human sacrifice. Human sacrifice, you've been preaching all the years is also, right? You're not allowed, even the guys can't make human sacrifice. And all of a sudden you're going to make human sacrifice? All of us, the Beisham is Mitzvah. And it's going to be a stealer, and to make you into a liar, make you whatever your life was till now was going to be worthless. It says you were just mevatel your whole life, your whole tafkid, everything else. I know Beisham is not going to do it though. How is he not going to do it? I have no idea. With Maisa, I trust in Beisham completely that what he's doing is emes and he's not steerdik to himself. How it does, obviously he came out. He didn't kill him, he didn't do anything. Not even sacrificing them. Those are the two things. We need how to live among the Goyim. Then there's 14 kvosim, are Take as Jews living in Eretz Yisrael. We didn't have any ribbis, we didn't have any of those things there. So basically, we didn't have a banking system. Unnecessary. The Yidden were very responsible. I didn't have to have a middle class system. I didn't have to have many things that I had in Golos that I'm going to have to need. So all of a sudden, the 7 types of work that you had in Eretz Yisrael, Al Tachlis Mayim, now is going to become 14 types, because you're going to take what the Goyim do, or what the Goyim could do, or how they deal with Goyim, and making them into Parnos in the way it makes it, because you won't be able to do the first 7. They're not going to let you do those 7, so you have to do the other 7. So we have 14. And that's the Ikir where you have the difference of the Kabbanis and of, what do you call those, are the Musafim that we have to understand each Yontif and each thing and how we live our lives. Because they all, the Yontifim are supposed to teach us all these things. Many more things in here, but let's Hashem next time. Have a good summer and enjoy. And a good Shabbos. Malks Shabbos.